again. I dare you. I double dare you, mother.
Get busy living. Or get busy dying.
Open the pod bay doors, Hal.
You're gonna need a bigger boat. And here we go.
Hey, welcome back to another episode of the Cinema Cult Podcast. I am your host, Cody Maloof. With me, as always, my co-host, Dante Troina. Dante, it's been a little while since we recorded one of these. What have you been up to?
Been a bit. Went back home for Christmas. Saw movies at a real theater, one which we're going to talk about today. And just been chilling, watching some of the award seasons. Getting. I'm sure we'll do an episode on our ballots and whatnot when the Oscars get announced. Just kind of enjoying the winter months, catching up on everything.
Yeah, same with me pretty much. I also went home for Christmas for a little bit. We don't have a movie theater back home where we live, so I didn't get to see anything for about the 2 weeks that I was back. I didn't get to see anything new. And that includes the movie we're going to talk about today, which is Marty Supreme. We're finally getting around to this one. We're a couple weeks late, but again, I didn't even get to see this until New Year's Day because it came out on Christmas. I was home for Christmas. Marty Supreme Christmas Day, Marty Supreme Christmas Day.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I did not get to see this on Christmas Day, which was a little disappointing for me, but it was well worth the wait. I will say right off the bat, I very, very much enjoyed this movie. Dante, what were your opening thoughts on Marty Supreme?
It's one of the best marketing campaigns ever.
Absolutely.
Right? Marty Supreme Christmas Day. If you thought that the Bob Dylan A Complete Unknown campaign was great last year, this just blew it out of the water.
Oh yeah.
We need one of these every year. Chalamet went ham on an SD Kid track as well. Rapping on Twitter. They're doing all this crazy stuff, all for Marty Supreme, dude.
I mean, we got to talk about it. How did the Chalamet press run, I think, is one of the best I've personally ever seen. I mean, he's got
so cool.
everybody talking about this movie, and A24 put a lot of money into it, obviously. I also read that Chalamet himself funded a lot of the antics that he was going on.
I think he was a producer on this too.
So, I mean, he was, paying for a lot of this press run himself, which it's just genius. I mean, the whole press run has been lights out. I mean, from
him standing on top of the sphere.
On the sphere,
Marty Supreme,
the blimp, the hilarious spoof Zoom call he did, which I watched the entire thing. It was
bought in.
So funny. I mean, the jackets, all the pop-up shops in New York,
balls,
guys with the tennis balls or with the ping pong balls on their heads. I don't know. He's just on another level when it comes to this, and it totally worked. He got Joe Schmo, who sees 5 movies a year, wanting to see the ping pong movie coming out on Christmas. I know a couple people, even on my flight back down here from back home. We're flying with one of our friends, Dante, I'm Riley Deal. I was with him. I was having lunch with him in the airport, and we're talking about movies. And he goes, "Yeah, I think there's some new ping pong movie coming out. I kind of want to check out." And that's when I knew. I'm like, if our buddy Riley has heard about Marty Supreme, then this marketing campaign is on another level.
Off the wall. He got my mom and sister to a premiere of a Safdie brothers movie, right? A premiere of a Josh Safdie A24 film. And both of them like movies, but they would not go if it wasn't for Chalamet and his pull and his marketing campaign. It was, it's still going on. It's still going to go on through February, and it's going to be just awesome to watch. He's everything you could want. I think I want to get into some superstar talks later about him in general. But I think the movie in general just lived up to the hype completely for me.
Yeah, this was the first movie from just Josh Safdie we've seen since his debut feature, which was, I think, all the way back in 2007. Since then, he's been working in tandem, directing, doing a lot of, all of the technical work on all of the films with his brother Benny. Kind of interesting that they both came out with movies this year. I know we talked about that a little bit in our, we did an anticipated 2025 podcast a while ago.
Yeah.
Coming up on a year ago now. And both of the Safdie Bros films for 2025 were on that list. The Smashing Machine and Marty Supreme. I kind of want to take a little bit of pride in that. The fact that I was anticipating talking about Marty Supreme all the way back, was that February or March?
Right. Yeah.
When no one really had heard anything about it. And now obviously the marketing campaign shot it off into the cultural stratosphere. But I just want to come out and say this is the better of the two Safdie brothers movies this year, at least for me. The Smashing
Yeah.
Machine, there was a lot for me there that didn't really hit, and I am a massive Safdie brothers fan. I love these guys. I love everything they do. I love their style. I love just how committed they are to their form of cinema. I really just love everything about their movies. The Smashing Machine was kind of a disappointment for me. I want to revisit it and watch it a second time, maybe through a different lens now that I maybe don't have, I don't know, the expectations for it that I might have had at the time. But Marty Supreme, I also had a ton of expectations going into, and this movie just really hit for me. I mean, it has that kind of like Safdie brothers energy that we have come to expect. It is
Right.
much more in line with their other films of like high tension, energy, anxiety, chaos, and like this guy who is on like a war path, almost like a driven by one singular goal, and he will not rest until he's achieved it. That's how it felt to me.
Right. I think we found out which Safdie brother has the sauce. That's been a big a
I don't
joke
know if
throughout the
that's quite
years.
fair. I don't know if
I
that's quite
I
fair, but
I don't know
you go
either.
ahead.
I just think from the genesis, this was a much more interesting movie and an interesting pitch. I think the big pitch was set with Smashing Machine was The Rock acting and taking on a real role, and can one of the Safdie brothers bring a renaissance to The Rock, just like they did to Adam Sandler in some sense. I think the pitch with this movie, and you watch Josh Safdie's interviews about this movie, there's a real passion, a real drive behind why he's making this movie. There's an insane attention to detail and respect for the art and the sport of table tennis. And these guys in New York that are hustlers and driven by this vision and razor thin to being nothing, to being something as well, right? There's not much of there's a tightrope that they're walking where it's a pit of alligators underneath them, but at the end of the tightrope is a pot of gold or whatever, right? They're on the precipice of something great, with all the embarrassment that could come from it as well. I think just the art of ping pong is something that Josh Safdie really, he would not call it ping pong either. He'd call it table tennis, right? Very strictly. And the appreciation for the sport is on display. This is not a table tennis movie, really. It is not a ping pong movie. If you're going in thinking it's going to be like the Moneyball for ping pong or be like montage scenes all that much, it is not that. It is very much driven by Marty Mauser, Timothy Chalamet's main character, and his journey and his divine purpose that he's on.
Yeah, this is a movie about ambition. I think when it really comes down to it, it's about one guy who is singularly focused on achieving this goal of becoming the best. And in this case, it is becoming the greatest table tennis player of all time, filling
Cover a Wheaties
arenas.
box.
Yeah, being on the cover of a Wheaties box, right? Being like a star athlete in the sport of table tennis. He doesn't ultimately get there, and I think we should really, that's how we should get into like the actual plot of this movie. Obviously starring Timothy Chalamet,
A lot of plot.
as Marty Mauser. There is a lot of plot in this movie. Supporting cast rounded out very well: Gwyneth Paltrow, Odessa Azion, who has had a really big year, in 2025. Abel Ferreira, like all-time New York independent film legend, someone who
Right.
Josh Safdie is like obsessed with and has talked about
Right.
many times being obsessed with. I mean, Dante, I think you told me you just watched him, Josh's interview on The Big Picture a couple nights ago, and he definitely he mentions Abel Ferreira in that interview.
Speaks about him like he's Scorsese, right?
Right.
Like he's just this legend that everybody should know. And this really is my first introduction to him, right? And then seeing all the films he's made, I'm going to dive in. And I see the respect for him.
We also have Fran Drescher, Tyler the Creator, and of course, I think the standout of this film, besides Chalamet himself, is Kevin O'Leary, Mr. Wonderful, who is like fucking incredible in this movie. This is just one of those pieces of Safdie casting where you take someone who, like, I mean, in this case, he's very well known, so I guess it's a little bit different than like what they usually do, which is like plucking people from obscurity, people who aren't trained actors. Kevin O'Leary has been on TV for like 20 years at this point, so he's not. I know he's used to playing a character, right? Like he's used to this world, but he's just electric in this movie, and he fits this movie like a glove. He was my favorite part of it, other than Chalamet.
Yeah, I don't know how much screen time he has, but he is just a force whenever he's on screen. I think it's got to be like 10 minutes or so. But just his presence in general, like he is the role. he is exactly what that character should be. It's so hilarious thinking that he's Mr. Wonderful and he's all these things with these preconceived notions, and then you take away from the role that nobody else can play it like he just did. And it's his first real big time acting. And then you also have like the other end of that Safdie brother type casting. You got Luke Manley, as Dion, as his manager, Marty Supreme's manager, who was plucked from a street New York Knicks video with missing Trae Young. And Safdie brothers, big New York Knicks fans and huge into New York culture, like could probably write a book on it at this point, just everything that goes on in that city. But plucked him right out of that. And he was great too. You know, you get all different levels of these obscure, weird, wild choices that only benefit the movie and don't feel out of place at all.
Yeah, the casting is spot on like it always is. I mean, I think that is one of the Safdies, even, Josh and Benny together. I think the casting in the Smashing Machine likewise was very, very strong. It's the same here. I mean, Josh and his casting director, they just hit it out of the park like they always do. Everyone is just pitch perfect. Like all of the other Safdie brothers films, this movie is co-written by Ronald Bronstein, who is a longtime collaborator of both Josh and Benny. This movie is very well written. The screenplay is, I think, sort of reminiscent of past Safdie brothers movies we've seen, things like Uncut Gems, Good Time. They're constantly like people talking over each other. The level of anxiety in this movie almost reaches the point of the past, I think, highs of the Safdie brothers, like Good Time and like Uncut Gems. It's very similar in that regard, but it's also quite different at the same time. I mean, obviously, there's nothing that's really repeating itself other than the kind of feeling that this movie gives you. It's basically the tension is being ratcheted up throughout the movie as we follow Marty Mauser trying to achieve his goal of greatness. He goes to extreme lengths throughout this film to try to achieve his goal. Essentially, kind of what the anxiety boils down to is Marty has kind of made a bit of a name for himself overseas as a table tennis player. He gets an offer from Mr. Wonderful, Kevin O'Leary, who plays, I think he's supposed to be one of the richest men in the world in this movie.
Yeah, he's invested in the ballpoint pen, right? He's
a pen guy, right? He's a pen salesman, or he owns a pen company. And he offers Marty a good amount of money, substantial amount of money, to go play in this exhibition tournament overseas. And Marty initially says no because he thinks it's beneath him. He doesn't want to play in an exhibition. He wants to play for the world championships. And then sooner rather than later, Marty realizes that he really is going to need some money if he wants to keep this dream alive. So he's trying desperately to get back into this exhibition tournament to, and get this deal. And that's kind of where a lot of the tension springs from, because Milton Rockwell says no. Like, he says, I offered you that job and you turned it down. I'm not going to give it to you again. And so he goes on this long odyssey to try to get this money in like a bunch of different ways. They steal this gangster's dog and try to sell it and try to hold it for ransom. He goes out pool hustling with Tyler, the Creator's character. He even gets Gwyneth Paltrow's character to give him this like expensive piece of jewelry that he can sell. And then he loses that, and it's just kind of like a folly of errors, a comedy of errors at a certain point. But it's also like the tension is just like constantly driving us like through the roof. So I mean, you're hooked the entire time.
Yeah, there wasn't a moment wasted. There wasn't a time where I was not engaged with the story. Like, it was always throwing something at me, and before I could process what was going on, something else happened afterwards. Right? He gets into this hotel for the night, and finally seems like everything's calmed down. He gets into his hotel room. Him and Tyler, the Creator, are kind of having a back and forth about what's going on. He sits in the bathtub, and the bathtub falls through the floor. And then he goes, and it's the gangster, and the gangster, played by Himel Ferreira, has his dog and says, take care of my dog. And then they go on this, and so the movie is always just taking what happened last, putting something else in front of you, and giving you something to latch onto, other than Chalamet's magnetic performance, other than the characters that you already care about. It's just masterful work at pushing the story forward. And making this ridiculous fucking story seem really natural too in doing it. Like it all feels in place. It all feels like something Marty would be up to. I think the only thing that was a little bit crazy to me was the gas station blow up, perhaps. Like that was a bit, felt a little bit too big for the story, maybe a little bit too crazy for what was going on. But then when you look back at the entire story in general, it was just crazy from the get-go. And I think there's no holes barred on that throughout.
Yeah, I did really enjoy the table tennis scenes that we did get. I mean, I know you said it's not a table tennis movie, and it's not in the way that like the plot does not revolve around the games of table tennis
Right.
being played. There are a couple great sequences though of table tennis.
Oh, yeah.
The first one
Yeah.
is, I think it's at the British Open. Is that where he in the first big
Yes.
tournament where he plays the Japanese player? And Marty just kind of runs through everybody until he comes up against this highly skilled Japanese table tennis player who has this new style of paddle and this new way of
Endo.
serving, Endo. And he's very calm and stoic, and he doesn't talk, and he's deaf. He's actually deaf, so he doesn't talk. And he's just very cool and collected. And Marty is, the complete opposite. He's like so boisterous and loud, and he's, beating his chest, and he's, when he loses a point, he flips out and he gets really pissed off. That's a great sequence right there of table. I mean, I never knew table tennis could look so cinematic and be
Oh, it
so
looked great.
engaging.
Yeah.
Obviously, just the nature of the sport, it is fun to follow, just the back and forth of the constant battling. But Josh Safdie, the way he shoots and edits these sequences is very, very well done. And it really locks us in. And it takes kind of what maybe could feel silly, and it really makes it feel serious, and it really makes us invested in it.
Yeah, I even liked his smaller scene. I believe it's Emery Cohen who he's acting across. When they're doing the scene, and it's him and the former great player of table tennis that was in the Holocaust camp,
Yep.
concentration camp. And he even quotes beforehand that he's going to do what Auschwitz couldn't.
That was
really,
crazy.
really shows you who Marty Supreme is. But him and this other player have a good respect for each other. And they do basically the dance at the end where he's beating the hell out of this other former world champion, and let's have some fun now. And they're flipping the paddles, doing it behind the back, faking like they're kicking the ping pong ball while hitting it with the paddle. Marty even, you see it in the trailer where he breathes on the ball and floats it above his head, like a little bit ridiculous, but just fun. And I think Safdie had a good appreciation for table tennis as a sport, conveying as an art, but also like he talked about, it was like halftime shows for Harlem Globetrotters. It was this fun novelty where people were trying to push the boundary of the sport or push where it was accepted by being a little bit crazy, right? And so even seeing those more goofy scenes with table tennis, I think were just fun, right? And probably gave them a good sense of direction with it, leading up to our final confrontation with Endo, which we'll talk about later, which was intense, sweat and bullets, and shows you just all the aspects of the sport in that.
Yeah, well, let's get into that. I mean, that's like the climax of the movie. Essentially, is this this exhibition match where Marty does eventually get the deal to come and play in this exhibition match against Endo again. And he's told to lose on purpose. It's kind of like a morale booster sort of thing, and to ultimately sell Mr. Wonderful's pens is ultimately what it's. Well, it's a promo, like promo event. But he plays Endo, he loses, he follows the script, but then he just can't help himself, and he's like, "No, I lost that one on purpose.
I demand a rematch.
I demand a rematch." And they rematch, and he wins, and that's basically the climax of our film.
But the best part to me is him when the Japanese audience does not recognize him at first, and he points to the picture and goes, I'm the crazy American, and they're all excited by the fact that he's back to take his revenge on Endo. And I think he even does like a little like promo point to Endo, like, I've come to avenge my loss. And it's just great. And then Endo just ever stoic, like, okay, we'll play. Whatever. And it's just a translator talks to him, and okay, we'll do the rematch even. And I think as much as Endo is put out to be the villain in this movie, Marty very much has a respect for him in a sense too. Maybe not the sport even, maybe not even just the rules. The commissioner of the tennis or the table tennis commission, I believe, is awful between him and Marty. Him throwing trash cans, doing all this stuff, saying that it was unfair, saying this the paddle, this and that. But at the end of the day, I feel like he does have a respect for Endo, like this weird underlying respect for him as another table tennis player. It almost reminds me of like martial artists, right? Where they talk all this smack before they get into the cage. One of them knocks each other out, or they knock each other out, and they get up and this man's a warrior. And it's like, what? You were just telling him you're going to kill him 2 days ago. And that's what Endo and Chalamet's Marty Bowser's back and forth kind of felt like. It was a very one-sided rivalry, but also quite a bit of respect that was underlying there. I think that was portrayed really well. I liked listening to Safdie say how he shot these scenes, and he just let them kind of naturally play table tennis and get reactions from Kevin O'Leary and the audience and get the whole crew to buy it. And it felt really natural. And it's just cool to learn how much effort both, I believe the actor's name is Kodo Kawaguchi for Endo, and Timothée Chalamet, how much they bought in and trained to be table tennis players and make it look convincing, because it does. It doesn't feel like, when you're watching All American or whatever show people watch and they're making the cuts and they break down. And it doesn't feel like that at all. It doesn't feel like a watered down version of the sport that you're watching on screen.
Yeah, the thing I was trying to compare it to was like the ping pong scenes of Forrest Gump, where he's like playing overseas and against China.
Oh yeah.
And that looks, it looks fine, it's kind of funny. And it's also like going for a much different tone, but you can tell that there's a CGI ball like that's, and I think there's a lot of CGI ping pong in this movie too, but it feels very, very naturalistic and feels very real. I just think that scene is so funny because for Marty, it's this like grand victory and no one gives a fuck. Like it's like, it's really a personal victory for Marty.
Right.
And he also does it to fuck over Mr. Wonderful. He knows that if he does this, Mr. Wonderful's not going to pay him,
right.
And he's not going to get anything that he came there for, but it's really just about personal pride. He doesn't win anything by winning this match. He really loses money and he loses like credibility with his sponsors by winning the match. But it's really just about his personal pride and him showing that he can beat this guy and he can be one of the best.
Well, and he just showed a bunch of Endo's fans too. He didn't show people that mean anything to him. He didn't show the American fans. He didn't show anybody that it's going to impact. The table tennis commissioner still has Marty Bowser out or banned from games, right? There's no real reason for it except for what's in himself and that drive and that maybe proving to himself that he can do it after everything he's been through. But yeah, Endo doesn't hold his head in shame or anything. He walks over and shakes Marty's hand and that's it for Endo. And Endo's going to go win the tournament tomorrow and whatever.
Yeah. It's just, it's great stuff. And that's essentially where we end the movie. The movie actually ends. Well, first I want to talk about probably the best line in the whole movie, coming from Kevin O'Leary when he's telling me, he's trying to basically tell Marty like don't fuck with me, I'm not someone to fuck with. And he says, I was born in 1601. I'm a vampire. Like, that is just like the fucking best shit, man. Like, so funny. And that's so Safdie's too. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think Kevin O'Leary came up with that line. Right. Kevin O'Leary came up with that, which that was kind of surprising to me. And that, I think, shows you how comfortable Kevin O'Leary was as that character.
Right.
And again, it's just like the genius of the casting is like you cast someone that perfect for the role, you're going to get like serendipitous moments like that where it just kind of the character comes from the actor.
So like I knew the line was not real, but it stopped me dead in my tracks. Like in the momentum of the movie where I was like, huh? Like it was delivered with so much conviction. And I like that Marty just kind of faces it, because I would give up my poker face if I was hit with that line. I'm sure you would too. Like it was delivered so well that it made me just it made my brain skip for a bit, right? It made my heart not beat the right rhythm. Like it made me definitely pause. Such a good delivery. Safdie said he encouraged a lot of people on this film to come up with ad libs and come up with their own lingo. I think it was interesting him talking about Tyler the Creator. Told him, hey, dude, you're a wordsmith. You're one of the best rappers alive. Like, come up with some words. Here's some lingo from the time. And Tyler the Creator brought forth a sun dodger, which is what he called a white person at one point. And that's why you get the most out of your actors. And it's really cool here as somebody who hasn't been on a set and somebody who hasn't directed anything, but knowing that we have these directors who are just devoted to getting the best out of their actors. And you see it, and everybody seems to love working with Josh Safdie. Like, everyone seemed to have a great time on this film. Award season, they always sit together and they smile, and it's a great remembrance of their film. But I think everybody did feel like they were making something truly special here. And it just shows in little moments like that.
Yeah, I think that's even more evident in the fact that Fran Drescher, who is the actually the president of SAG-AFTRA, right, of the Actors Union, was on set when they're working like way overtime hours, which they sometimes have to do, especially on a Safdie Brothers movie. They don't have a lot of time and resources. They have to get this done. I saw an interview with Odessa Zion where she said basically that same thing, where she's like, she's like, on our last day of shooting, we're 19 hours into the day, and we have the president of SAG-AFTRA being like, Josh, I need to go home. Like, we can't be here. And he's like, just one more shot. We have to finish this, because it's the last day of shooting. We have to get this movie done. And that just speaks to the fact that I think everyone is super committed when it comes to working with someone like Josh Safdie. He has so much cachet at this point. He's made so many great films, and actors love working with him. And I think that just makes the movie so much better when everybody is so bought into this one thing, achieving this singular goal, like Marty is.
It's cool to me. Yeah. It's cool to me that we have so many different directors at different points in time right now. And Safdie Brothers and Josh, really more in particular now, have kind of broken all the rules where, like, they've made these kind of underground, grungy type films. They're directors that should feel like they're up and coming, but yet they're so seasoned in a way as well that actors do respect them. They're so well read, they've made such a good movie, or so many good movies at such an early stage in their career, that actors are flocking to work with them. Chalamet even said, like, when's my Safdie Brothers film?
Mm-hmm.
And, so you're building this reputation off of what the mainstream audience kind of knows as 3 films, right? Good Time, Uncut Gems, and Marty Supreme now. And it already feels like he's a seasoned, established director who's going to take whatever's next with whatever actor and make it something incredible as well. Did you want to talk about maybe the supporting actors? You brought up Fran Drescher, and I had some takes on all of them. I think starting with Fran Drescher, she, to me, is very intentionally maybe the character that is not larger than life here, and that does kind of blend into the background. And at first I was, maybe I could have used more of Fran Drescher, but I did think also that that's pretty intentional, right? Marty's mom is not a big figure in his life. She's obviously not that important to what he thinks he's doing at this time either.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's a very intentional performance that she is in the background, and you're not getting to know her all that well. And it is this big actor like Fran Drescher. She was in all the trailers, right? And it says Fran Drescher pops up on the screen as kind of a pitch to this movie. And obviously not the reason I came in, but going away, I felt like I didn't get enough of her. And then a couple days later, I felt like, there is a reason for that, right? And I think everybody's performance is great, but that was one that maybe even stuck with me on just how they knew each of their roles in the film and how important every part of it was, even if it was something that was so small.
Yeah, I really did like the Fran Drescher performance, and I think that character speaks to kind of how Marty is too. I mean, we have that scene early in the movie where she's like, has someone else call him and say that she's sick to try to get Marty to come back home, and he's like, I know you're not sick, and you can hear her on the line like, just tell him tell him I'm sick, tell him, And so obviously that's where he gets that kind of sneaking, lying ambition, to kind of like try to play people and in order to get what he wants. But I think the supporting cast in general is very, very strong in this movie. I mean, Gwyneth Paltrow, I think this is the best we've seen her in years. Seeing Gwyneth Paltrow in a real film and a real role is like something we haven't seen in a little while now. A movie that she will remember that she has been in, that'll be nice.
Right.
And Odessa is oh no, go ahead.
Before we move on from her, I think it's such a ballsy role for her to take, because it is you know, it's a washed up actress in the movie, more or less, right? Like that's how she portrays herself. There's a scene of her just sobbing when her play finally gets a bad review, right? She's going up for the review, and then Marty looks in through the door and sees her just sobbing, and he moves on to the next thing, right? And gets paddled. But I think it's such an interesting role from Gwyneth Paltrow too, because it's I don't think many actresses or actors in general want to admit that maybe they are past their time, or the subtext of taking this role. Well, I still think, and you still think, that Gwyneth Paltrow's a fucking fantastic actor.
Yes.
Her heyday is behind her though too, in a sense, right? Like she's gonna have many great roles, hopefully for years to come. She'll always be someone who I'm excited to watch on screen, but we're not getting like the late 90s, early 2000s performances out of her anymore with that volume.
Well, yeah, she just is. She's not in the
she's just not
same
doing
space to
it,
get those roles,
right?
right? She's not that same age. You know, she's
Right.
moved on to a different part of her career.
And so I just, and you conveyed it better than I did, but I share the sentiment with you. She's just in a different part of life, but taking a role that kind of admits that in a way, I think is a really ballsy choice. And I respected her for doing this role even more, and killing it in this role too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was really happy to see her. I'm glad that she got so much time with Marty too. You know, she was
Yeah.
a pretty big part of the plot. She kind of keeps popping up here and there. She is the wife of Milton Rockwell, of Kevin O'Leary's character. And
Yeah.
Marty is like just low-key banging her on the side. Like I was kind of surprised that never came to a
Yeah.
head, right? That
Yeah.
was never resolved. He never found out about that. That was always kind of something that was lurking in the background that I thought at some point was going to come out, and it never
I
did.
was waiting for like you know, when I watched Succession, a bunch of things disappeared and never came up again. But then there's Kendall's murder, the murder that he commits at
Yeah.
the end of season 1.
Well,
Barely pops
manslaughter,
up
but
until barely pops up until the very end of the show, and then you're like, oh shit, that's where it came back to bite him. And I was waiting for that moment where like, when is Kevin O'Leary going to say, maybe even after he tells him that he's a vampire, that, you know, and I know you've been banging my wife too, you little son of a bitch, and that just never comes up. And I'm okay with it not coming up, but I was waiting for it to.
yeah, I felt like a little bit of a missed opportunity there, just like a hanging thread that never gets resolved. I would be
Right.
curious, kind of no one has asked Josh in any of the interviews I've seen with him, and no one has brought that up. So I would, if you know, I would definitely ask him about that. If
Right.
Josh, if you want to come on the Cinema Cult Pod sometime, that would be our number one question: is
Right.
did Kevin know that Timmy was banging his wife?
Well, and I think as soon as she gets the bad review and cries, and Marty shuts the door on watching her, I think she's just out of the story. And that's even from like the background perspective too. Like it doesn't matter to Marty's life anymore whatsoever either. As much as Rockwell could bring it back up in a conversation, that's not what matters anymore in Marty's front either. Is that, you know, I'm done using this person. This person is of no use to me anymore.
Right.
On to the next. I'll go get paddled for it.
And he does that over and over again,
over and
basically with
over.
all of the side characters in this movie, even characters that he says or we're supposed to believe are his friends, like the Tyler the Creator character. We're supposed
Right.
to believe they have a sort of friendship. You know, they seem like they've known each other a while and they're friends, but really at the end of the day, Marty is just using him to make money. Like Marty is just using
Right.
him to go hustle people and ping pong at a bowling alley. And then he takes all the money that he said he was going to give to him and he keeps it for himself. He says he's going to pay
Right.
him back tenfold or whatever. You know, it's all just means to an end.
Well, and he even, at the end of the film, he ends up kind of like Wally, right? With responsibilities now. Like,
Yeah.
you know, you can tell him and Wally probably used to be closer as well, before Wally was married and had kids and had more things that were depending on him. But Wally's definitely given up a little bit of this lifestyle that Marty's still directly in. And I liked what Safdie said as well about like when Marty Bowser's in your life, he is giving you 110% and then he disappears, right? But he is a magnetic force when he comes into your life. You don't come into his, he comes into yours, and he's what your day is going to center around, or your 2 minutes or 2 hours, whatever it is going to center around, and then he's going to be gone until he pops back up again. And I think Wally was one of the main recipients of that. And even when Marty is going in to the tennis club, the table tennis club, and has something else to sort out, and you see Wally, hey Marty, like he's still happy to see him after that, after all this too, after being used, and Marty's doing something way different at this point with the
Right.
dog and the side quest that he's on. But you see that Wally still welcomes him with open arms and is excited to see him at the club that night. So
Mm.
just pretty interesting, really, really well performed from Tyler, the Creator, which I think we were all expecting pretty good performance. We know that Tyler is a little more
He can
artsy than
definitely
your
act, yeah.
average hip hop or your average rapper. But man, he was really good in this as well.
I mean, if you compare this Tyler, the Creator performance to ASAP Rocky
A$AP Rocky
in
and
Highest to Lowest, I mean, that was horrible. I mean, I did
Yeah.
not enjoy that movie barely at all. And I thought ASAP's performance in that movie was quite poor.
Oh, Jesus.
He did redeem himself a little bit in If I Had Legs, I'd Kick You. ASAP actually had 2 acting roles this year. He was better in If I Had Legs, I'd Kick You, but it does not come close. I mean, Tyler is so much more charismatic, and he's a much better actor. He has much more range than ASAP. But
Yes. Yeah.
I also
pull.
really, thank you. I also really enjoyed Odessa Zion, though. I mean, she was like
Yes.
lights out in this movie.
Oh my gosh.
I didn't
Yeah.
even realize that I had seen her in Until Dawn. That's kind of how forgettable that movie
Oh.
was. Forgot she was in that. She was
I
one of the
didn't- I
main
didn't-
characters
didn't
in that
know.
movie. Did you see that?
I didn't see it. I played the game. I love the game.
Yeah.
I played through the game like 2 or 3 times, so I'm not watching the movie.
The movie was gay. It was nothing
Yeah.
special. I mean, it wasn't horrible, but I also was very generic and kind of silly. Forgot she was in that movie until
That's
I saw
funny.
her in the trailer for this, and then I was looking into her, and then I
Wait a
realized that I
minute.
had already seen her. But she is lights out in this movie. She
Oh my
is like
gosh. Yeah.
going toe to toe with Timmy. She's not giving him an
Right.
inch, and that's like I fucking love it. I mean, she is just on fire.
Yeah. I think a lot of people were, where the hell did this lady come from? Like, I've seen her more than I've seen anybody else these last couple weeks. And whenever you think about industry plant, whatever, if this is an
Nepo
industry
baby
plant,
conversation,
if this is a
whatever.
Nepo baby, an industry plant, we need more like this then.
Yeah, she's great.
Because it was fucking spectacular. Every time she was on screen, she was as magnetic as Chalamet, delivering through the good and the bad of her character's journey. Now you can go to your tournament. Now you can go, as she's sitting in the back of the car, pregnant. They've just been shot at, all this stuff, but you have the money now, and now you can go to your tournament. And just moments like that where you're like, holy shit, man.
Yeah. Maybe
completely-
maybe when I said she doesn't give Timmy an inch, I guess that's not really accurate because she does kind of let Marty walk all over her at certain points in this movie. She does. There are times where she really gets in his face and gives it to him and yells at him and tells him what he's doing wrong. But
Right.
at the end of the day, she really is just kind of like, I'm here for you, Marty. I'll do what you need me to do. And she even makes up a whole fake story about her husband or boyfriend, baby daddy, whatever, abusing her in order to
Right.
ingratiate herself to Marty.
So I was going to ask you about this. How do you feel about Marty? How do you feel about him? I feel like there's this weird principle, and I don't know he goes in, hits the guy once with the trophy after he thinks that he's beaten Rachel, and he says, shame on you. And he walks out. And so for as much as his and Rachel's relationship is weird, and he has told her that she has no purpose in life, right? And he has this divine purpose, and if you think that is something that's good, it is not. It is a responsibility. He gives her this big speech. But at the end of the day, he very much respects her. I don't think he ever called her any curse word. I might be wrong about that. And he stood up for her and said shame on the guy that he thought was beating her. Obviously, we find out that is makeup later. But there's a weird principle to him too, right?
Yeah.
And a weird level of respect that he has for her.
He's a dickhead, but he's not. I don't think he's ultimately a bad person.
Right.
He's not. He's going to stand up for someone, his friend, his on again, off again love interest. If he thinks she's being abused or not treated right, he's going to go stand up for her.
Right.
But then he's also going to turn around and say like, you have no purpose in life. I don't need you.
Right.
He's definitely not a nice person, but he's not an evil person. He's not bad. He's not,
Right.
he's not the villain. He's just so focused on his ambition that nothing else matters to him. And I can kind of respect that in a way. Obviously, some of the ways he goes about achieving that are not ideal and you can't condone them. But there's something to be said, and there is a certain level of respect to be had for someone who is so focused on becoming great, so focused and so ambitious that
Right.
they're willing to kind of let everything else fall away.
Yeah. I just think even so in that moment when he hit Rachel's boyfriend and said, "Shame on you," he didn't go in for an extra step on the face. He didn't go in for "Shame on you." That's over the line, right? And my mom even said, like, "Good for him." And my mom could not stand Marty throughout the movie because she thought he was ridiculous and misplaced, right? And she's lived a longer life than you and I have, so she has different values at this stage in life and just thinks he's a stupid 25-year-old in some sense. Um, but she even in that moment said, like, good for him. You know, he has some sort of principles behind all this, some sort of baseline respect that a human should have. And I think that was just a kind of a cool moment to juxtapose all the other stuff Marty has said in the movie about Auschwitz, about that he's the product of Hitler's failure. Um, you know, the way he treated Gwyneth Paltrow's character as a means to an end. But at the end of the day, has a moral behind him. He has principles behind him. I think that's really important for a character too, right? I think that's just a different level that maybe another director would not do in this case. That was very paid attention to. I think even just the fact that I said like he did one lash, basically one swipe with the trophy, and that was it. He didn't go in and pummel on the dude. He didn't go extra, which maybe another director would want to play up. He did the one hit. He said, "Shame on you," and he left. Right. And I think that's something that was very intentionally made that way to give his character more characterization, show what his character is like in these moments. And I think that was just a really, really cool scene for me.
So I want to ask you, you saw this movie with your mom and your sister.
Yeah.
So the one scene that I have not been able to like get out of my head from this movie or that I keep returning to is the bee scene when
Oh, yeah.
he's telling the story about being in the concentration camp, and kind of putting this honey all over his body,
Yeah.
Marty's friend, and having all the prisoners lick it off of him. How
Yeah.
did your mom and your sister react to that scene? Did they have any comments on that?
They
How'd
didn't
that
have any
go?
comments. And you know what? We had barely any interaction during the movie because I think we were also locked in.
Mhm.
Like they were as locked in as I was. I don't know if they enjoyed it as much as I did, but I know that they were, you know, blinders on. This is what we're watching,
Mm.
and gave it its
It
like due
demands your
attention. It
attention.
demanded their attention. I don't know. I'll ask them on the side, but
I just thought your mom might have, like, had
I would
something to say after that,
no,
after the movie was
no.
over.
I think we were all locked in.
'Cause
Like just so.
it's such a weird scene, and, I see
Apparently,
what
it's a true story.
apparently it is a true
Apparently,
story. Yes, according to Josh, and, it's just funny that Josh would put that in there. Obviously, his Judaism is very much ingrained into his filmmaking, he and
right?
Benny, all the previous movies they've made. And I think it's just funny that, Josh wanted to include that, 'cause on the surface, it sort of feels out of place, but once you kind of dig into it a little bit and see where he's coming from and why he would be telling that story and kind of how it reflects, kind of some of the themes of the movie in general, I think it does make a bit more sense. But it's just kind of funny, and it's like your classic Safdie brothers, kind of weird humor, like the
Yeah,
opening title sequence of this
yeah.
movie,
That was
where
one that got a comment like, "Okay." That was
uh-huh.
all my mom said, "Okay." Like, all
And
right.
and that's kind of how the movie is bookended by conception and birth. I mean, the
Right.
opening sequence is Marty and Rachel having sex in the back of Marty's work, yeah, where he works at the shoe store. He gets her pregnant. That is a kind of thread that carries throughout the film. And
It's
then,
it's so wild that at the moment you, like, forget that, like, "Oh, yeah, they're showing that she's pregnant."
yeah,
Like, just and so much happens in between the time that she reveals she's pregnant in the movie that you just completely forget about it too. And then looking back now at the movie and on rewatch, that's such a poignant thing to me and something that I'm gonna take away more from the film on second viewing. And just looking at it from this 1,000-foot angle right now, right? Not in the theater, is like, "Oh, yeah, there's a big storyline there." Whereas it felt so much it's well executed, but it felt so much throughout the movie like a side plot or something that Marty would ignore, obviously coming back to it at the end. But starting with Forever Young and having the sperm climb its way up to the ping pong ball was certainly something.
That's what we need to talk about. I think before I want to talk about the ending and kind of the
Yes.
bookends, but I want to talk about the music that is used throughout this movie. The needle drops are incredible. Forever Young, Everybody Wants
Yeah.
to Rule the World.
Well,
Perfect.
so have you been listening to the soundtrack too?
I have been listening to the score. Yes.
I've been listening to the score, the soundtrack, everything. Holocaust Honey is one of my favorites. I'm gonna bring that up after you brought up the scene. I've been bumping that just at
The
work.
score is
in the
incredible.
car. I've been listening through the score by Lopatin for the last 2 weeks. And it's been, if I did like a wrap for my year right now in January, it would be all the Marty Supreme score, the version of I Love You Tokyo, or I Still Love You Tokyo. Freaking incredible score. I don't know if you have like a favorite or something that stands out to you, but the score in general was next level.
I don't know if I have a specific track off the top of my head right now. I mean, the score in general is incredible. I think even the first couple tracks,
Blows
like the
Uncut
call,
Gems out of the water on that front.
I
As
mean,
much
I
as I
don't
love the Uncut Gems score, it blows it out of the water for me.
really. You think it's that much better?
Yeah, through and through.
I mean, it's interesting because it's all the same person really that has done like pretty much every Safdie brothers
Right.
movie up to this point. Whether it's Daniel Lopatin, and I think he started with Good Time, back when he was doing, he still uses the moniker 106 Point Never, and now he's still doing Marty Supreme as Daniel Lopatin. Yeah, his film scores are amazing, and they fit the Safdie
Incredible.
brothers style so well. And it's like the collaboration and the continued collaboration of Josh Safdie, and I don't want to keep excluding Benny. That's why I keep saying Safdie brothers, but of course this is a Josh Safdie film. The frequent collaboration that he has with all of these people, I think, is such a strength to all of his films.
Right.
The casting directors, the music, I mean, everything that goes into, I mean, obviously the screenwriting with Laura Bronstein. It is just such a well-oiled machine, and all these people work so well together at this point that they can't help but make something great. And that's ultimately what this has become.
It's what they've been doing, and it's again why I say, like, I have no doubt that, I know we don't want to ask him what's next, but it's like,
don't ask him. He says, "Don't ask me what's next." That's rude. That's disrespectful.
But it's what gives, I think, both of us so much faith, is like, it is a well-oiled machine at this point, and it feels like it's getting better and better. I feel like, to me, we'll talk about maybe some legacy talks of this movie later, some overall talks, but I think for me, it's Good Time got better with Uncut Gems. I think got better with Marty Supreme. And I think it just comes from that consistency, comes from that team gelling together and just filling in the little spots that can be better in a film. And you get all of it in this movie. You get the score. I think the needle drops were great. I think as a society, we've become a little bit too needle drop happy. Like, every director loves to put a needle drop and it has no meaning to the movie. The lyrics of Everybody Wants to Rule the World, which is something that I looked into, obviously. I've always known the song, but I haven't really deep dove into lyrics. Describes Marty and his quest to a T. Forever Young at the start of the movie makes so much sense. This is what you want. This is what you get, coming in the background too. Just friggin' spectacular. I think there are a ton of needle drops in this movie, but they don't feel out of place. They don't feel overly saturated with needle drops. I think it's where you get those amazing, impactful moments, like Everybody Wants to Rule the World at the end, like how Fincher uses a needle drop even, and like does Orinoco Flow in Girl with Dragon Tattoo, and it just sticks with you because it's not one of many needle drops. And I mean that with all respect to James Gunn, who knows how to pick them. I mean it with all respect to other directors who do a great job at it, but it really feels special here. It feels like the songs are really picked from a long list of 80s songs for some reason in this 50s movie. And despite them being out of place in the setting of the movie, they make so much sense for the character, and you get these incredible moments. I will never listen to those songs the same again without thinking of Marty Supreme. I'm never going to listen to Forever Young again without thinking of Marty Supreme, which is crazy because that song has such an amazing legacy. And this movie gave it, lends well to it, gave it new legs in my mind.
Yeah, well, the needle drops make thematic sense, even if they don't fit the
Absolutely.
time period. Thematically, they totally fit the
Make
story.
too much sense. Yeah.
Exactly, and I think this is a good dovetail into kind of the end of the movie because Josh Safdie originally said that, or he said that originally his plan to end the movie was to. I mean, how we end the movie now is, um, Rachel gives birth to Marty's son. Marty goes and visits his son, his infant son, in the hospital. Cut to
He
credits.
flies back on the plane with the soldiers. They're all meeting their families as he's coming back,
Right.
and he's running to get to the hospital for Rachel.
Marty meets his son at the end of the movie. Boom, credits, movie's over. Josh said that originally the idea was to then flash forward 30 years to Marty at a Tears for Fears concert. And this is in the 80s, and this is where we would all the 80s
We're
the
gonna
needle
go a
drops kind of
sinner's route.
would have tied into. And then to really go the sinners route, Dante, excellent, excellent idea there. Kevin O'Leary, Milton Rockwell was going to show up at the concert and bite Marty in the neck as a real vampire. That was going to be the end of the fucking movie. I would have absolutely loved to see
They
that.
need to put that out in like a director's,
I
like something with the bonus features on
I
the
cannot
DVD.
believe they didn't shoot that. Obviously, it's kind of ridiculous and it turns the movie into a completely different thing. But I don't think it's that
I
far
love
off
it.
because you can
I
also
love
just
it.
see it as like, who gives a fuck? Like, maybe it was real, maybe it wasn't. Like, that's not the point of it. Of obviously,
Right.
this is not a vampire movie. That would have just like given like that movie like that extra kick at the end because I did feel it was slightly anticlimactic. The ending, I did feel a
It,
little bit
it,
let down of just like we've been building
right.
so much and so much, and so many things are happening, and then it's just kind of over. It did feel a bit
Right.
to me at the end, kind of like we fizzled out.
Well, I think we both went in waiting for that uncut gems moment. Like, Sandler gets shot at the end of
Right.
Uncut
And that's
Gems.
that's
What,
similar, but I
what the
don't feel
hell?
like it has the same it
And
didn't feel the same to me.
right, it's not the same. Um, it's not an exclamation point. It's a period. Right.
Mhm.
It's the end. It's not this big, explosive, mind blowing ending at the end of this crazy story. And it felt like Marty Supreme was bigger, crazier than Uncut Gems. So you maybe expect, and I even did something more wild for the ending. And I agree with you. I like the idea of him going to a Tears for Fears concert, showing a little montage of Marty's life going up to there and having the vampire. Why the hell not? Swing for it. But also there is a part of me that like it is to me a perfect ending for Marty. Him looking at his future, welcome to your life, and then it cuts to black and plays Tears for Fears, and it just like it elicited like chills from me. It made me almost like tear up the first time watching it. Because to me it was just such a crazy like how does the film land at this ending? When I just said even that it feels like kind of a background plot of Rachel's pregnancy throughout the movie, and then somehow it lands this to me an almost perfect ending. And maybe that's what separates the film for me and like makes it uh to me something that I do want to talk about with legacy talks and like holy shit, this is an all-timer talks for me. Like this is a movie I'll always remember because that ending for me it did. But I can understand what you're saying. I don't think you're like I don't like disagree with you adamantly and think you're wrong about the ending or think that you're wrong for wanting a bigger exclamation point because there's always going to be a part of me that does want that for this film too.
Yeah, but ultimately, I mean, I think this movie is very, very strong. Do you want to talk a little bit about what you're talking about, legacy? I mean, let's get into the Chalamet movie star thing. I mean, this is really like I
He
don't know
might
if
be, he might,
go
he
ahead,
might end
go
up
ahead.
as, I'm going to say it. He might end up as the best to ever do it. I'm going to say it. I know it's crazy. I know it's a big swing for
Okay,
me. The dude's 29, 30 years old.
Timothy about
Um,
30.
he's, yeah, still sipping dirty. Um, dude, he might actually be like, there's like, he is in a rare class of actor already to me. Um, he's like OG Travolta. He's like Tom Cruise. He's gonna age like Leo, maybe. Like there's a rare class of movie star that I think he already belongs to. And, I think Leo did it pretty young. Leo really re-apexed around now, right? Within the last 10 years. Brad Pitt's having his kind of swan songs being played at this time. Um, But I think the jump and the head start and the drive behind him, I'm fully bought into like him saying like he wants to be one of the best to ever do it. And I believe him. Like I'm so bought in. And I believed him this time last year when he gave that speech. And after seeing Marty Supreme, I like am really bought in, and
He's backing it up. He's not just
yeah,
talking, he's
right.
backing his shit up.
And he's someone where, as disrespectful as it is, I know the craft and all this, but like he's someone that I can't wait to watch in Dune Messiah, Dune Part 3,
Of
whatever it's going to be
course.
called. I can't obviously wait to see that story wrap up, but like he has made such great choices. I think the only thing that he maybe didn't make a great choice on, which is not really associated with him, is like Don't Look Up. It's not as good as
But
the rest.
I don't
He has
even
right.
think
He has like a small side role in that, but
that's not even a
he
bad
has
movie.
no. But like that's the one that would like stick out, and it's not even associated with him because it's such a small role. It's like 10 minutes screen time.
Yeah.
But all the roles that he has picked, he made a Bob Dylan movie worth watching, which is not against Bob Dylan, but we've had so many biopic musical films in the last couple of years that they all blend together. And he made it stand out. Call Me by Your Name, stuff like Beautiful Boy, like the movies, the franchise that he's picked is Dune to tie on to. Pretty fucking good.
Well, it just shows that even the
Um,
franchise stuff he's in is like
right,
prestige franchise stuff almost. This isn't Marvel shit, right? This is
right.
like real, this is like stuff that is in the one breath mentioned by these like big fandoms, but it's also like winning Oscars and it's also very well respected in the industry. It's not kind of
Yes.
poo-pooed like the Marvel stuff is.
Little Women. He's made these
Mhm.
choices that um
Still working with great
like you
filmmakers.
said, working with great filmmakers. Like he just I'd love to see him and Scorsese get together. It needs to happen.
Well, they shot a
Um,
commercial last year at the Dior
I
ad or
know,
something.
I know, but I would love it if they did
Uh-huh.
something before Scorsese's time is up. Because I still think Scorsese's in his bag all these
He
years later.
is.
Um, but yeah, man, I feel like he's made such interesting choices and like has been in things that like, there's a level of like, hey, uh Shores of Ronan's career, and I butchered her name, um, is really interesting and has made good choices, but not all the movies are something that I'm interested in, or it's something that I respect more than I like, right? Chalamet's been in everything that I respect and like too. Like he's walked that line between, like you said, prestige and blockbuster and like these movies that almost anyone could watch. And he's just put himself out there and maybe go to projects like Call Me by Your Name that I probably wouldn't have much interest in, right? Other than being a film fan, and knowing like Guadagnino as a director. But given that extra oomph to projects that I would maybe just say, yeah, it's a good project. And like, I really respect it. He's given it that extra half a star, that extra push behind it that I think makes him like a star and makes him, obviously he's a star, but I think there really is something of like, I'm buying in. I'm buying into the stock. I would have bought in this time last year. I would have bought in a couple years ago, but I'd really put all my chips in the Chalamet corner right now because he's just on fire. Like he's on like a reconnaissance type run right now of
But
like
the
just
the
picking
reconnaissance
great,
implies that there was a
having way
down
later,
period in the
right?
first place, right? There's no
He's
renaissance
just
if you were
coming out
never down.
swinging, right? Like he's just coming out with that level of wave behind him. And yeah, I don't think with what he's choosing and how in demand he is, there's going to be any sort of downfall anytime soon. Um,
The
yeah,
one
great.
thing the
Go
one
ahead.
thing that sticks out to me is Wonka. That movie I did not like very much. I
Sure.
did not think it was very
That's right.
successful.
That's right.
That's kind of the one thing that sticks out is like, that maybe what that one wasn't so good, but he gave it his all. I mean, he turned in a decent performance in that movie. I just don't think that movie works very well, like on an elemental level. I didn't really like it that much.
You're,
But
it's so far
I
down
like
on
doing
his
for the kids movies
IMDb
thing though,
page.
I mean, you could do something for the kids, right? I'm sure Stormy loved that one. I'm sure she was a big fan. But
Sure.
so let me just go through.
He's tried to scrub that from his IMDb page and all this stuff.
Let's
It's
just
hard
go.
to find on here.
Let's go through since 2017, right? You Call Me
Sure.
by Your Name. Then he does Hot Summer Nights, which movie is a movie I have not seen. Lady Bird, Hostiles with Christian Bale, then The King, which I think The King kind of boosted his cachet a little bit. Also a movie I haven't seen, but a movie was quite popular and his first real leading role.
Beautiful Boys in there.
Yeah, of course, you can't forget Beautiful. Oh, right, skipped over Beautiful Boy. Then right into Little Women, The French Dispatch, Dune, Don't Look Up, Bones and All, Wonka, Dune Part 2, A Complete Unknown, Marty Supreme, and then Dune 3 this year. I mean, dude's on
Crazy.
a fucking insane run.
He's on a tear.
It's so fun to watch. It is really. Oh, of course, you can't forget Interstellar, which he did have a small role in Interstellar in 2014, which was actually his first movie. So, first movie was Interstellar. I mean, and it's crazy that might not even be like his best role. Obviously, he doesn't have a big role in that movie.
I think everybody jokingly forgets that he was in there.
Everyone does kind of forget he was in that movie. But I just want to say that it is so fun to watch somebody like this just be at the top of their game. I mean, he is Marty in a lot of the way, and he has also been playing that up a lot in the press run, which has been really fun to watch. But he is just like on another level with this shit, man. Like just the movies that he is like cashing in on his cachet as an actor, working with all the best filmmakers, making consistently interesting choices in character and also in the projects that he chooses to make. And then he also gets behind these projects in ways that we don't see that much.
Full force.
They're not just like do the press interviews, do the little junket, like that sort of thing. He's really going all out and really trying to sell these movies because he wants these movies to be successful, because he knows that will continue to enhance the choice that he's able to make, for the next couple films, right? Like when people see the commitment that he has to this, why would you not cast him? He's lights out, man. I mean, he's like truly one of our greats right now. And it's so fun as people like around his age. He is like from our generation. So it's really fun to have somebody like that we can kind of relate to. He's carrying the torch forward. So it's amazing. It's awesome to see.
It was like 3 or 4 years ago or so, like right after the pandemic, where a bunch of people were, where are the movie stars? We don't have them anymore. And then you see people like this pop up and it's like, yeah, they come, they don't not exist, and there's different levels. Like I think Austin Butler, Florence Pugh,
Robert Pattinson,
Robert Pattinson,
all in Dune Part 3, by the way. All of the 4 people we have just mentioned are in Dune Part 3.
Which we'll talk about on another episode.
Actually, maybe Austin Butler. I don't know if he's in Dune Part 3, but probably not. He died.
Yeah, he kind of
he died.
Maybe a flashback.
Anyways.
But I think just in general, like Chalamet's so in touch too. And that's the big thing. I think we talk about marketing, all this, but he just hopped on and dropped a verse on Twitter about a conspiracy theory that he was a British rapper, like an underground British rapper. And how do you address that? Oh, he just dropped a verse on his song and put it out on his own Twitter. Like, and that's what I think, there's some sides, especially with like how politics are right now, like a lot of actors, you don't want to hear them speak. You think that they're out of touch, and this isn't my opinion, but this is a lot of opinion of people right now of just like, I just want to see you act or this and that. And then Chalamet, you just can't get enough. Like, I can't get enough of this guy. Yeah. Like I watch every podcast he's on. He goes on friggin' College Game Day and shouts out the MAC championship. Like, he is just
nobody's doing it like him. Nobody is doing it like him. I'm telling you. Like,
so he's just so in touch with everything he's doing. It's insanely impressive, man. And I want to know, like, how long can he keep it up? How can he just do this every year? Can he just, it seems like it right now.
I love it.
That's what's, it's crazy, man. It's us just glazing him at this point, but what else can you do as a fan? Right. He's as in touch with like A24 small films as he is with the mainstream audience, as he is with film nerds, as he is with like Twitter. He follows a bunch of like, he loves like Bill Simmons, like stuff that we listen to. And he's, he probably knows about the Limitless stuff right now with Bill Simmons. That's how in touch he is with this stuff, man. Like it feels like one of us. It really does. And that's what makes, I think, us both buy into him is he's a guy and he's fucking awesome. and he's acting his tail off. It's really impressive.
It's fun to watch. Dante, what do you think? Is that a good place to leave it? Do you have anything else for us before we wrap this podcast up here?
I think so. I think eventually we'll talk about after a while Marty Supreme's place and the Safdie brothers and Marty Supreme's place in the year as a whole. But it does just feel like, how can you not talk about this movie without talking about Timmy Tim?
Man.
He's doing it.
I think maybe we should mention, I do want to touch on the
Okay.
Safdies a little bit. Personally, for me, I enjoy Good Time and Uncut Gems more than this movie.
Okay.
I think they are better movies. And that kind of gets me to the point that I wanted to make, where I still believe that the Safdie brothers are stronger together than apart. You know, Josh obviously has made the better movie this year. And I don't know if it's really fair to say after one movie from each brother that Josh is the guy, right? Josh was the one driving all the creative stuff, and he's really the filmmaker. I don't know. I don't think that's really fair. Benny just made a different movie, right?
Benny's also a great actor.
Benny's also
great in Oppenheimer,
acting
great in
Nolan
Good Time.
movies, right? And he's, you know, Benny is doing just fine. I mean, the movie Josh made also is much more in line with the previous Safdie brothers movies, so it's easier to, I think, assume that, oh, well, Josh was obviously the one that was doing all the creative stuff. I don't really think that's
feels
fair.
like an insane passion project that his career has been building to, whereas, all due respect to the Smashing Machine, it doesn't feel like that, right, for Benny. Whereas for Josh, it feels like this is really where his destination was for a while, was to get to Marty Supreme. And so that's part of it too, is I feel like this is something that really swings, whereas the Smashing Machine is maybe a smaller, or definitely a smaller film.
Yeah. I mean, I would put this number 3 out of, like I said, Good Time and Uncut Gems. But I mean, if you go back to their earlier works, they've been making movies for quite a while. I mean, you know, Josh's first movie, which, like, I think ended up playing at Sundance. It's called The Pleasure of Being Robbed. It's like it's like an 80-minute indie, quite just kind of spacey, nothing really to write home about, honestly. It does have a table tennis scene in it, which I think is kind of funny.
Nice.
There is a sequence that takes place during table tennis. But then they made Heaven Knows What, Lenny Cook, Daddy Longlegs. Like, these are all movies that they made together, and all written, the 2 features anyways, written with Ronald Bronstein. So they've been working together for a very long time. I don't like the split, though. I mean, I get that they kind of had ideas that they wanted to do on their own. And I've read that obviously they're still, like, very close, and they talk every day, and they, you know, provide feedback on each other's projects, and they will work together again at some point.
I'm so glad it's not an ugly split too, though.
Yeah.
It's just, it's a split. It's not a beef, any of that. Thank God.
And, you know, my 2 main brother combo directors are both split up right now, and I don't like it. And they, you know, the Coens and the Safdies, my 2 Jewish, actually, they're both Jewish, which is kind of funny. My Jewish brothers out here, they need to get back together. I mean, it's like me and my Jewish brothers, right? Like, we're stronger together than we are apart, right? And I feel the same way with these guys. Like, they need to get back together. As good as this movie is, and we've sung its praises for, you know, this entire podcast.
As much as I want double the Safdie projects, as much as
and that's kind of what I thought we were gonna get, was like, why, you know, 2 is better than 1. But I don't think so anymore. I think that I still want these guys to get back together and, you know, make movies together at the end of the day. That's kind of how this movie left me feeling. Although I really did enjoy it, I do want Josh and Benny to direct together again.
That's totally fair. I agree. I want them to direct together again. I think it's my personal taste, and, like, I would agree with you in a sense that maybe Good Time and Uncut Gems are better made films. I cannot wait until this is released again so I can watch it.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't, as much as I love Uncut Gems, like, I truly do. And it's nice to see Julia Fox like that again. I haven't gone back to Uncut Gems like that. I will go back to Marty Supreme. Like, I know that. I will watch this. I'm itching to watch it. I think we'll talk about end of the year list soon. This is right there for me with Sinners and One Bound After Another. This is right there that it gave me that itch, you know, a couple weeks later to, like, I either need to get back to a theater, which I can't, or I need to be Googling when this will come out on video on demand because I need to watch it ASAP. And this movie gives me that feeling that I think Uncut Gems and Good Time did not give me that extra feeling. And so that's my kind of separator right now with it.
Yeah, I think I'm on the exact opposite end of that spectrum with you. I think, as I already said, I think I'm just the exact opposite. Very much enjoyed this movie, and I definitely will be returning to it. This is like a pre-order the 4K sort of movie where
absolutely
we are definitely going to watch this on 4K when it comes out. But yeah, I mean, Uncut Gems for me is like one of the best movies of the 2010s. Like that is like top 5, maybe movies of the 2010s. Good Time, I think, is also just like electric. It's like so just like fucking just grabs you and never lets go. In a very similar way to this movie. So yeah, I can't hold, I don't want to hold other movies against this movie, but overall,
it's comparing our children.
Exactly. Exactly. Overall, very, very much enjoyed this movie though. I mean, this is one of the top 5 movies of the year for me, probably, at this point.
Yeah.
There are like maybe 1 or 2. I mean, I've seen a lot this year. I think over 120, which is pretty good for me, but there's like a few more I need to add. Like The Secret Agent is one I still need to see. This is for a separate podcast. We don't really need to talk about that, but this is top 5 for me though of 2025. This is top 5 for me as well.
Yeah.
That's where I want to leave it. Do you have anything else for us here?
No, I think that's a good place.
Okay, well,
did you get any memorabilia from this film?
No, I mean, obviously,
I could not find the popcorn bucket. People were doing ping pong balls and stuff. I was so pissed, man.
My brother Max goes to school in New York City. I told him to go to Lincoln Square AMC and get me one of the ping pong balls, and he never did. So I was kind of pissed off about that. I wanted the jacket. Obviously, I wanted the jacket, but it was like
for his Uber.
$500 jacket at the pop-up shop in New York City. Could not afford that. My TikTok ads keep showing me knockoffs though. They keep showing me $30, $40 Marty Supreme jacket from Temu or whatever. But I mean, the merch was another big thing for this.
I just want the ping pong ball, man. I just want one sitting. I know like a perfect spot for it in my apartment. Just put it on one of the dressers or whatever. Put it on a shelf. Just perfect piece of memorabilia.
Try to follow the white ball on the white paper.
Right.
You can't do it. You can't do it. Now the orange ball, the Marty Supreme ball. Genius.
It's not a regular ball. He's not a regular guy.
Genius.
Great.
All right. Well, as always, thank you for listening. This has been Marty Supreme, and we will be back very soon with our 2026 most anticipated list, and as well, and our top 10s of 2025 as well. So look out for that.